Hello everyone, and welcome to another Coventry Kitchen. So today I'm actually going to be filming a lot of stuff because I'm getting ready to leave on Saturday to go visit my mother in Pennsylvania. So I'm trying to have some videos that will be for tomorrow and be for next week, and then maybe I can film something while I'm there for the week after, and then I'll be home, and then we can proceed with some sense of normalcy until about March when I leave again for about a week or so. So this video, I'm going to make some eggnog. Now, I am not a huge eggnog fan. In fact, if I am having eggnog, it's probably either stuff that I bought, the Pennsylvania Dutch brand that you can get at most liquor stores and grocery stores and such, or it's stuff I made myself. So those are like my only two options when it comes to eggnog. So there's a few recipes that I want to try. So I'm gonna film making a couple of them. One of them is a fermented eggnog, and I can report back on how that one turns out once I get back from Pennsylvania, because it'll have time to set and ferment and things in my refrigerator. So let's find out what these eggnog recipes are all about. So I know that Max Miller Tasting History just recently did an episode on eggnog, and of course Dylan Hollis has an episode on eggnog from 1860, I think it is. So these are just going to be some recipes that I found online, nothing too major. Actually somebody had given me the idea after I'd already gotten all my supplies to make a vegan version and a non-dairy version, which, I mean, I've done the non-dairy before with coconut milk, but I actually have friends who are allergic to coconut, so I'm trying to figure out if I can do it with another kind of non-dairy milk. So we'll see. Maybe I'll do a redux episode when I come back, and that way you can find out how the fermented eggnog turned out, and we can venture into it's not going to be true vegan because I don't have any instruments right now that haven't already touched meat products, but I'm gonna eventually have something like that, because I do want to make vegan food for my friends who are vegan, and you know, it's a dietary choice. It's dietary, in some cases it's, you know, required for health issues and things like that. So it's something that I really do want to do. So that'll be something that we will be trying in 2023. So let's go ahead and get everything together that we need to make these eggnogs. Okay, so I lied. I said I wasn't going to make the oldest eggnog recipe that I could find. I am. It's actually called Posset, and a friend of mine sent me her version of the recipe. Since if you didn't know, I participate in the Society for Creative Anachronism, which is a nonprofit organization that is focused on historical reenactment during the Middle Ages, as well as, like, you know, earlier than the Middle Ages. So I'm going to use her recipe that involves cooking everything to make the posset, which I will probably do that second. First, however, we are going to make Alton Brown's aged, not fermented, aged eggnog, and that one apparently does not require cooking from what I'm seeing. But I'm also going to make a half batch, because if you pull up this recipe, it calls for an entire pound of sugar, which I just do not have. I have sugar substitute, but if I want to make cookies later, which I do, spoiler alert, then I need to save back some of the sugar. So we're gonna go with a half batch, and that's still 8 ounces of sugar. So that's a lot of sugar. Hi, Midnight. Yes, everybody thinks you're beautiful. All right, so it's still a lot of sugar, but I might even scant it just because I don't like sweet eggnog. But I'm hesitant to change up the recipe too much. His recipe calls for Jamaican rum, cognac, and bourbon. What I'm going to use is this lovely stuff here, just called White Christmas. That is a combination of rum and brandy. And I'm going to throw in some Knob Creek rye because I really like the rye. It does not necessarily like me back, but you know what? It's worth it. And then the Posset is actually made with sack wine, which I don't have. But I do have a bottle of Chardonnay that I'm gonna use, and we'll go over what all of that means in a bit when we start working on that particular recipe. So first things first, we are going to separate yolks from whites. I need a mixing bowl for this and a whisk. All right, let's see if I can do this. So since I'm having the recipe, it's gonna be 6 large eggs. And this is the fun part, watching me separate eggs. All right, so we now have 6 eggs here in our mixing bowl, and I'm going to go ahead and get 8 ounces of my sugar substitute going. Hopefully this bowl is big enough. Okay, we're gonna zero that out. Now I am using Swerve as my sugar, which means I can probably scant it because Swerve does have a tendency to be a bit more sweet. So I'm gonna start with I think we'll probably do 6 ounces of sugar. All right. So I'm gonna add the 6 ounces of granulated swerve. And I'm gonna step away here and grab my nutmeg. Maybe I'll grab it, we'll see. Depends on where I decided to hide. All right, and so we're gonna use a teaspoon of, it says freshly grated nutmeg, but I don't have access to my whole nutmegs right now, so we're just gonna use grated. And we're gonna put a teaspoon in there. And now we whisk. So what it says in the instructions is you want to mix this until it lightens in color and falls off the whisk in a solid ribbon. So we're not quite at that stage yet. Not really sure what a solid ribbon looks like, so, you know, could be doing this for a bit. I'd say that's pretty solidly a ribbon. All right. Put my scale out of the way. So then in a separate bowl, we're going to combine the dairy, the booze, salt. I put a teaspoon of nutmeg in here. It should have been half a teaspoon. It's gonna be pretty nutmeggy. I just realized that. All right, so anyway. I get out my other mixing bowl for my liquid ingredients. And this time, I'm not gonna overdo things. So since his recipe calls for 3 different alcohols and I am using 2, I'm going to use a full cup of the rum and brandy mixture. It makes sense in my brain. Don't question it. So we're going to combine a full cup of rum and brandy and half a cup of the rye whiskey. And then we have some other things we need to put in there. All right, so starting with Well, I don't have a pint of half and half, so I have heavy whipping cream. I do have some non-fat milk that I think I can work as half and half. All right, so what's a pint of that, hey? Pint is 8 ounces, right? I think it's 8 ounces. I need to look. Alexa, how many ounces are in a pint?
1 pint is 16 fluid ounces.
16 fluid ounces. So a half pint is 8 ounces, which is what I need for this. So 1 cup of heavy cream. Oh, it helps if I open it all the way. Now I'm going to try making half and half here. I'm probably not going to do it right, but that's okay. I'm going to add about half a cup of heavy cream and I think my milk is sus. No, it's still good. All right. Okay. And then, oops, I'm making a mess. What else is new? And then a cup of whole milk. So this is a very dairy-based recipe. And it is also very different from other eggnog recipes that I have made in the past. I like to try to make some pretty much every year just because I like making it. And occasionally, I like to actually drink it too. All right, so I'm gonna whisk together the dairy and the alcohol. It also wants an eighth, well, technically it wants a quarter teaspoon. Would you please stop? These are not for you. Oh, cats. Okay, I can't find my salt. Here it is. Need an eighth of a teaspoon of salt in here. And we're gonna mix that all together. And then slowly but surely add this to the egg mixture. Nowhere in this recipe does it say it is to be heated. So I do have a little bit of concern, but there's enough alcohol in here. I don't think it's gonna honestly matter all that much. So get everything in here and well combined. And because I am the type of person who likes to test things and make sure they be okay, I'm gonna grab a spoon. Oops. And we're gonna try some. That is very boozy. Woo! that is, it's a lot. All right. It's okay. It's fine. It's okay. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and put this into a mason jar, and this just goes straight into the fridge, and I will take it out when I get back from visiting my mom. Hopefully I get to visit Dad while I'm there too, but definitely Mom. And when I get back from visiting with my family, then we'll give it a taste and see how it held up. But in the meantime, I'm gonna clean stuff up and get everything set up for the posset. All right, so this is the remainder of the aged eggnog that wouldn't fit into my container. I'm a little concerned because it is separating out, but we'll see how it goes. All right, so this over here is half a cup of white wine with 3 tablespoons of Truvia, a cinnamon stick, and some ground nutmeg because I don't have my whole nutmegs right now. Sack wine is an antique vintage term from like the Middle Ages, referring to a white fortified wine that usually came from Spain. Now, I do have Spanish white somewhere. I just don't know where, and I don't know that I can access it. So, to be frugal, we're just going to use some Sonoma Chardonnay because I have it available. All right. So what we're going to do is we are going to turn this on medium. This is on low right now. And I want to, according to the recipe that I'm following here, I want to boil the 2 cups of heavy cream that are in this container. This is gonna be interesting. So, yeah, we're gonna heat this on medium and just stir occasionally until it boils. And then once it starts boiling, then we're gonna turn the heat up on this one. Go back to this, whisk it down for about 30 seconds, and then we're gonna take this off the heat and I'll restage things at that point. Or at least try to. So I'll be back. Just as a side note, pro tip, something to keep in mind when you're making recipes and you decide to use a substitute, like a sugar substitute or something like that in a regular, well, honestly in any recipe. I don't use chemically made like artificial sweeteners. That's the word I'm looking for. I don't use artificial sweeteners. I use mostly stevia or monk fruit or a combination thereof of those particular naturally occurring sugars. However, they don't necessarily incorporate well in cooked things. Like the sugar that I used, the swerve that I used in the aged nutmeg settled out. So I'll have to remember to shake that before serving it so that it gets mixed back in. And the Truvia that I used in the wine mixture here, it's still kind of clumped together and not really fully incorporating. So just like a little, hey, by the way, this is something that I'm still learning and working with in all of my substitute cooking methods. So yeah, just like I said, something to keep in mind. So while I'm waiting for stuff to cook, some uses of eggnog, besides just, drinking it straight. I actually use it in my coffee in the mornings instead of creamer. I usually drink my coffee black, so I mean, if I decide to use creamer, that's one of the things that I use. what else do I use? Oh, I make White Russians with it. Instead of using heavy cream or milk or whatever, I just use eggnog instead, and it is an amazing White Russian. Yes, it's already boozy, and yes, you are adding more alcohol to it, but it's really good, and I actually really enjoy White Russians, especially when they're made with homemade eggnog. So, like I said, that's just a couple of the ways that I use homemade eggnog. Now, you can, with the exception of the Posset, you can make eggnog without alcohol in it. I'm not entirely certain why you would do such a thing, but you could. So, I mean, you don't, if you are not a drinker, or you're hosting a party, and somebody who's attending loves eggnog but doesn't drink, there are ways to make eggnog without alcohol, and it still tastes really good when you make it yourself. So that's the key. You have to make it yourself. But hopefully by this time next year, I will be able to experiment with goat's milk eggnog and see how that compares to everything else that I've had and that I've tried making over the years. So that'll be a fun thing. Watching milk boil is really boring, so that's why you just get these little random snippets of information. But I think it's starting to come up to a boil. Now we still have a little bit of time, so I'll be back. All right, our heavy cream is finally starting to boil. It's got some small bubbles going in there. So what we were going to do here, I'm gonna wait just a little bit longer on it, and then I'm gonna turn up the heat on this one, which is not even simmering, it's just warming. And then we're gonna whisk this and let it boil for about 30 seconds. And then we're gonna remove it from the heat and start trying to temper our eggs. Alrighty. So whisk this, give it 30 seconds, and I'll see you back there. All right, so this is the part where we need to make sure we're paying close attention. We are going to add the eggs by the spoonful into our cream mixture and whisk after each addition so we don't cook our eggs. Normally, when you temper, you would be adding the hot mixture to your eggs. But because there's way more hot mixture than there is eggs, we're doing it differently. If you ever want to know how non-ambidextrous you are, try doing something that requires two hands by yourself. All right, so you get the idea of what's going on. I'm gonna go ahead and pause my video here, and I will come back once I get the eggs in. All right, now it's time to add our wine, cinnamon, and nutmeg concoction. Normally you would run this through a fine mesh strainer to remove the bits, but since I don't have one and this is ground nutmeg anyway, we're just going to pour it in. And then we are going to let this cool for about 20 minutes before putting it into our mason jar to stick in the refrigerator to let it cool even further. So there you have it. I hope you liked the video today. It was a version of Posset, which is the precursor to eggnog and Alton Brown's aged eggnog, which we'll try once I get back from Pennsylvania in a couple weeks. So thank you guys for watching. As always, you can hit the thumbs up button if you like the content, hit the thumbs down button if you didn't like the content, but either way, leave me a message because that actually is what matters most to me. Plus, it gives me a way to know what you guys are thinking and what you guys want to see and all that stuff. We do have a Discord channel. The link is in the description. And make sure that you're subscribed to this channel and you ring the notification bell so you get all of the notifications of all of the updates that I do. And you can also check out Split-Acres on YouTube. That's also linked in the description box below. That is the channel for the farm itself. And we're gonna have some good content coming once it's not so freezing here. As in, we can actually heat the house. We only have a fireplace for that right now. So we're working on some stuff and trying to get some stuff taken care of so that Ken can show you some of the things that he's planning on doing with the farm and how things are coming along. There might be a couple of videos of me doing some planting when I get back from Pennsylvania as well, because I have some grow kits that I'm very, very excited about. So we will see you later.